Hello and welcome to SDPN's 2023-2024 NBA season previews. Today we're diving deep on the Utah Jazz, a team that turned some heads last season with their impressive play, shattering expectations for what many expected was going to be a bottom feeder in the NBA. Now the question is if Lauri Markkanen, their breakout star, can keep up his all-star level play, and if the rest of the Jazz can elevate theirs this upcoming season. But first, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. The season is almost here, and we have tons of great NBA videos coming your way to get you prepped for what should be an awesome season. Heading into last season, many expected that the Jazz would be near the bottom of the league in all departments after trading away their star duo of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert in the 2022 offseason. But the Jazz surprised most. They were a near 500 team at the All-Star break, and that was thanks in large part to the rise of Markkanen, who went from an average role player to an all-star in just one season. Markkanen's points per game jumped from 14.5 to nearly 26. He was nearly a 50-40-90 guy, all while grabbing 9 rebounds a night on his way to the 2023 Most Improved Player Award. Now, heading into this season, there will be expectations for Markkanen to not only maintain that level of play, but to potentially build on top of it. He's a fluid forward with a nice shooting stroke, and standing at 7 feet tall makes his shot nearly impossible to contest. He's become a versatile off-ball cutter and has genuinely become a very well-versed all-around scorer. I think Markkanen's leap was real, and that this type of player is here to stay. And I think the Jazz are at least going to try and rebuild around him and center Walker Kessler as their future. Speaking of Kessler, the big man finished third in Rookie of the Year voting last season behind Magic forward Paolo Banchero and Thunder wing Jalen Williams, and showed promise of eventually becoming one of the best rim protectors in the entire league. He averaged over 2 blocks per game last season and deterred many more for the Jazz as their anchor for their defense. Offensively, he's begun expanding his game and has a soft touch and good rebounding skills that helped him shoot over 70% from the field in his first year. Between Kessler and Markkanen, 2 7-footers, the Jazz are big in the front court and versatile, which makes their addition of John Collins this summer that much more curious. It didn't cost much to acquire the Hawks wing, sending Atlanta Rudy Gay and a second-round pick for his talents, but his fit is intriguing and somewhat complicated next to Markkanen and Kessler. Collins had a down year in Atlanta last season, especially his shooting that cratered to a woeful 29% on over 3 attempts a game. Just as a point of reference, in the 5 seasons before last year, Collins shot 37% on his threes. It was uncharacteristic of him to shoot that poorly, and it made it difficult for him to be as effective in Atlanta. If that sort of shooting is here to stay, his fit becomes somewhat wonky next to Markkanen and Kessler, but it's not a lost cause. He's still a hyper athlete and a great cutter, and in head coach Will Hardy's system of off-ball movement, I can see the positive areas of his game blossoming as a rim runner and off-ball diver to the rim. Markkanen provides enough spacing for things to work in the front court, and the Jazz also have Kelly Olynyk, another floor spacer, so if Collins is the third starter on opening night, it's plausible the fit works. If Collins somehow regains his shooting touch, then things become really interesting because an already versatile Jazz front court just becomes that much more difficult to stop. Collins is probably their main acquisition this summer, but the Jazz did most of their legwork this offseason in the NBA draft. Many have argued that outside of the Spurs who got Wemby, the Jazz were the ultimate winners of the draft, nabbing 3 draft analyst favorites in Taylor Hendricks, Keontae George, and Bryce Sensabaugh. Hendricks, the 9th overall pick in the draft, is a big man who can space the floor for Utah while also being an elite rim protector and projecting to be an overall good defender. He's shown an ability to put the ball on the floor and score, and while he's still a raw prospect, his overall ability to shoot and defend makes him a match made in heaven beside Markkanen and Kessler in the front court, especially if Collins doesn't pan out. There's a good chance that Hendricks can slide into the second forward spot in Utah eventually. With the 16th pick, the Jazz drafted George, a highly versatile 3-level scorer out of Baylor who absolutely dominated in the Summer League. George showed that he is walking into the league as a professional bucket getter. While he still needs to fill out and add some mass and probably still have to adjust to the NBA game, it's clear he is going to be a microwave scorer for Utah almost immediately. As for Sensabaugh, the 28th pick in the draft, he's also a walking bucket from Ohio State. Although not as well versed as George, Sensabaugh's size and frame makes him tough to guard, and while we didn't get to see him play in the Summer League due to injury, he was deemed one of the best scorers the 2023 draft had to offer. With those three guys, the Jazz doubled down on versatile scoring, athleticism, and size, and I think ultimately that will pair incredibly well with the type of style Will Hardy likes to have his team play. And while there will be plenty of interesting young talent to watch on Utah next season, the one player I have my eyes on next year is second-year guard Ochai Agbaji. Agbaji was a sharpshooter in college at Kansas and showed some flashes of the same with Utah in his rookie year. He has an impressive frame and wide shoulders, which makes me think that he'll eventually be able to score in a multitude of ways at the NBA level. He also projects to be a good defender with a long wingspan, and I think given where the Jazz are at developmentally and the shooting they'll need in lineups, Agbaji is going to see a big uptick in minutes, and dare I say, even potentially start. Between Clarkson, who re-signed with the Jazz this summer, and Agbaji, Collins, Markkanen, and Kessler, Utah would have an intriguing starting lineup that has a good mix of defense, shooting, and offensive creation that would make them tough to play on any given night. The only question with Utah starting Agbaji would be what happens to Colin Sexton, who by all accounts is probably too good to come off the bench, but is probably too small to play alongside Clarkson. And I think overall, the overarching theme or factor when looking at the Jazz next season is what they'll eventually prioritize: winning or development. Last season, with Markkanen breaking out and Kessler turning heads as a rookie, the Jazz punched above their weight. But now, people know what to expect. They also have one of the youngest rosters in the entire league, so you know there will be growing pains. Most sportsbooks have the Jazz win total projected at 35.5 wins, and I think I'd slightly go under on that for two reasons. First, the West has improved. Even the bottom feeders like Houston and San Antonio have gotten better, so there are no off nights in the conference next season. Second, after the All-Star break, after trading away Mike Conley, Malik Beasley, and Jarrett Vanderbilt, the Jazz went 8-14. Now, while some of that can be attributed to mailing it in order to solidify a high lottery pick, aka tanking, they also weren't as good without their primary facilitator. Finding who that will be this season is going to be a priority, but that's something that's only going to develop over time. Utah is going to take a very patient approach to their rebuild, and I think this year, they come back down to earth after surprising people last season. But what do you think? Where do you see the Jazz finishing? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.